Good day. This is Philip Malika from Evolution, and this column is entitled The CK Effect: Perception and Probable Realities. I purposely did not use the words Charlie Kirk in the headline because, well, aren't you glad that I'm not doing yet another take on his murder or assassination? However, I am going to use the event itself to flush out a couple of significant subjects, especially as we move further into the shift in consciousness. I think that this event actually gives us a means of addressing these challenging ideas around the nature of our reality, who we are, and how we create our reality. In fact, I believe that the event is a tool we all created to do just that. A means of pulling back the curtain on how we create with our perception and seeing how we choose our own probable selves and realities. You see, depending on who you are, what aspect of you is presenting, and your current set of beliefs which affect your perception, you will likely conclude along a certain line of what happened, and whatever you conclude will be true. It will be true to you. And what you conclude to be true will determine the pool of probable realities from which you will then choose to inhabit and make your official reality. Which brings us to our first major point. There is no bedrock, single-line reality. There's not. Almost without fail, each of us believes that there is. We typically believe that there is one truth, one set of facts that are common to each of us collectively and irrefutably. That even if we don't know what happened in actuality, there is a single factual truth regarding any event or circumstance. That we may not know what happened, but there is one truth, one reality about what did happen. And that simply is not true. There is no official reality. Each of us creates our own reality through our perception. We use our beliefs to project energy to units of consciousness within our quantum grid that then form the reality we are projecting. That's how we designed this physical reality, and that's how powerful we are. Everything in our world, seen and unseen, is made up of units of consciousness. These consciousness units are aware, but not sentient in the terms that we think of. They don't think as we do, but they are predisposed to work cooperatively with us to create whatever we are projecting energy into through our attention and importance. Those are the determining factors of the strength of our energetic projections, which give weight to the projection and precede manifestation. Secondly, in the process of creating our realities, we're constantly choosing from infinite probable selves and probable realities. In that process, we move effortlessly in and out of parallel realities in relation to each other that may or may not include other various members, events, circumstances, or truths. When someone dies, saying they flew away is actually pretty profound because the version of them that we created is now gone. They may be dead in our reality, but are actually only dead in our terms personally. They may be frolicking about in another probable reality that is simply not our official personal reality. There may be 1,000 other realities in which they are also dead, but also 1,000 in which they are not. There may be a version of us in their probable reality, but it is not the one we've chosen to actualize for our chosen probable self and reality. We do this all so automatically and easily that we aren't even aware that we're doing it. For you see, everything happens. Somehow, somewhere, all probabilities occur. This is the magic of creation, and it is also what gives us infinite possibilities of what we can choose for ourselves. We are constantly choosing from the infinite probable realities which circumstances, events, and choices we will claim as our own and make our official reality. But what we choose is unique to us. Thus far, our default has been to work diligently in our minds to coordinate and corroborate our reality with everyone else's. The result of this is the collective belief system. This is how we have operated for the totality of our civilization. We accept certain belief systems along with the majority of people on our planet, and in tandem then create a probable world that reflects that collective. It was actually less so when we were separated by distance and language. Each area would have its own collective beliefs, what was accepted as real and true by those particular participants in a region. Some things we become aware of historically with certain peoples seem ridiculous to us now, but such is the power of the mass belief. As we traveled the world and shared ideas with each other, it became more homogeneous. History became a self-fulfilling prophecy of sorts. Whoever wrote history became the arbiter of truth. This has been understood for millennia and has been used to control the masses by dictating facts and truth. In Western culture, the Vatican and other elite groups long had a stranglehold on information and its dissemination and used it to influence perception, thus limiting what the public, call them subscribers, would subsequently create in their own probable fields as their own official realities. Now, with the internet and the vast sharing of information across the world, a curious thing has occurred. We are offered extraordinarily disparate alternate realities based on what we accept as truth. By accepting and concluding on various specific scenarios, we pare down our pool of possible probable realities, which we will then create and inhabit. One of the greatest tricks used is to offer either-or scenarios. You either believe this or that. There is no in-between. There is no nuance. Yes or no, white or black. By limiting us to two choices, it's relatively easy to maintain control of the narratives. This is the basis for the two-party system in the United States. Let's see how this works in practice, and then offer some suggestions on how to make it work for each of us in the most beneficial manner possible. We can see these programs at work if we know where and how to look. We will use CK's murder as the flashpoint. Once the event occurred, various facts or evidence were disseminated, which then influenced anyone who was aware of the original event. Each of us then evaluate the evidence that has been shared from whichever platforms and speakers we observe, and we conclude which facts and evidence are true. The conclusion is the defining factor for how we will proceed and then create a probable reality, which we will then inhabit as our official reality. Why do you think the various entities work so hard to espouse facts and evidence that are demonstrably false to our sensitivities or sensibilities? Why do you think so much time and effort is put into polarizing the narratives and dialogues to simple binary equations? They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They don't care about those of us in our little corner of Substack who know better. They don't need to convince everyone. They only need to convince a certain percentage of the sleeping public, whose power of conviction will overwhelm a vast majority of others who aren't really paying attention at all. They don't have the mental capacity to evaluate such data. Once that happens, the collective mind falls into agreement about reality, and through the power of numbers, then creates that reality, which they inhabit and make their official reality. If we are still creating our reality by default and don't recognize our power to choose differently, we will fall in line with this collective agreement. And since we are still awakening and don't yet understand our individual power to create outside of the collective agreement, we are more likely to turtle into victim mode and shake our fists that we don't like, grit our teeth, and accept what we have been offered, further exacerbating and cementing the probable future that we don't want or like. Once we do that, we have accepted that probable reality as our own official reality. Now, because we are waist deep in the shift, this method is losing effectiveness as more and more people are questioning official narratives. This is why we are seeing such broad and disparate narratives. If you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit. This is why we see such methodologies as controlled opposition, useful idiots, deflection, changing the subject, etc. The internet and media is awash in all sorts of psychological tricks meant to herd the masses. All of these are paramount to the continued program of control and the exercise of authority. The playbook consists of laying down an official narrative, setting up opposing viewpoints within the Overton window, and then hurry up and move on to the next newsworthy item and cycle. Deny anything that doesn't fit your narrative. It locks in the subject to an easily manageable range that allows the authorities to continue to move in the direction of control and furthers their agendas. And until we learn to resist the idea of conclusion, which adds our energy to the collective agreement, subsequently then creates a probable world that we then inhabit as our official reality, we will continue to be victims to those who work to control us. Here are some things that we can do to isolate and insulate ourselves from automatically hitching our wagon to a probable reality that we do not prefer and letting someone else steer our ship. Become an observer without conclusion. We don't have to pretend like things aren't happening. We just need not to take a side that locks us into that probable reality. As we are observing our world, come consistently back into your own immediate reality, into your world. Work on making choices that are beneficial to yourself. Remember, someone who is distracted and or in despair is not really paying attention to the choices they are making in their own life. They are being bumped around by their emotions like a pinball in a machine, are being herded toward a probable reality that is not in their best interest. If we aren't steering our own boat, then someone else is. It is the choices we make in our own lives that determine our probable reality, that we make our official reality. These other events and circumstances, while they may be alarming and grab our attention, really are not affecting our day-to-day life in any meaningful way, except to the extent that we make them more important than what we are choosing as we move ourselves through our probable selves and realities. Your attention directs your energy, and your energy creates your reality through your intention and perception. Your pool of probable realities is determined by you, your beliefs about what you think is true and what you think is possible. Ease up on both of these and watch yourself, in cooperation with the units of consciousness, create a probable reality that is to your liking and benefits you. Remember, it's all skewed in your favor if you would only stay out of the way with limiting beliefs and don't force yourself into a position of giving yourself more of what you don't like or want. You are powerful enough to create whatever you want. I've done it. I've seen it in action. I'm not perfect by any means, but I know it works. Once you've shown it to yourself, you will never again allow someone else to steer your ship by influencing your beliefs and forcing you into the position of accepting your probable future based on their narratives and the collective beliefs. No one is ever forcing you, but we've never understood how to stand up for ourselves and create independently of the collective. That day is well on its way thanks to the shift in consciousness. Recognize yourself as the powerful creator of worlds you have always been. It all seems counterintuitive. We think we must oppose and fight what we don't like to create change. But there is a back door, an end around, if you will. The only thing we have to resist is our own proclivity to lock into the collective. We are the saviors we've been waiting for. Practice in your own small corner and watch what happens. It will be indistinguishable from magic. Cheers. Thanks for coming. See you next time.